Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Columns Stream. Today I'm speaking to Stanley Jeza, who's calling in all the way from Nigeria. Jeza, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Where exactly in Nigeria are you based, Jeza?
Lagos, Nigeria.
Very nice. Today we're going to be talking about brand identity design. And one of the reasons why I wanted to chat with you is because you've got some experience in the space and you've done some work, not just for Column, but also for other brands and potentially have some thoughts to share. So I'll kick off with possibly an easy question. What do most brands get wrong about brand identity design?
The main thing I would say is most brands just assume a brand identity is just the logo and the color palette. It's just about looking good. That's wrong. It's about capturing the right feeling for the right audience. As much as the logo and color palette are also very essential in your brand identity, it goes way beyond that. It's more or less like a system that builds recognition, trust, and a connection with your audience over time. And so most brands fall into the trap of designing for trends rather than seeking out longevity with their design. They look for what's hot, what's right. And I feel a strong brand identity should feel authentic, it should feel distinct rather than just slightly altering a version of someone else's brand.
Okay. And when you were thinking through a brand identity design process, what's your general mental approach?
So I try to start by understanding the brand essence. So my three questions fall into the why, who, and how category. Why does the brand exist? Beyond the company obviously wanting to make money, what impact do they wish to create? Then who is the brand for? I need to understand the audience of the brand, their desires, their mindset. So you tailor the brand identity towards the particular target audience. And then lastly, how should the brand be perceived? So is it a playful brand? Is it a premium brand? Is it a disruptive brand? Is it trustworthy? What archetype does the brand fall into? So when you have this strong sense of brand foundation, it's very easy to start building visual language when you have all these questions answered.
Makes sense. Okay, so target audience impacts perception in a way. And as you've been designing brand identities over time, what's a myth around brand identities you've come to realize is not true? Something that potentially people in the industry or the designers still believe.
When people usually think brand identity is set in stone, which is very wrong. The best sort of brands, the best entities, they evolve. A great brand identity is designed to be flexible. It should grow with the brand, it should be able to adapt to new trends, new platforms, even new audiences. Because if you grow, the audience grows with you. But the main thing to keep in mind is that you're not necessarily losing the essence of your brand. You're evolving, but you're still retaining the essence of your brand.
That's a pretty good point to bring up. If you look at all the biggest brands in the world, especially the longest running ones, your Cokes, your Unilevers, your Maseratis, for example, the BMWs, Mercedes-Benz, even their brand identity, their brand assets, brand elements, these things have changed over time, and what they stand for have changed over time. What's a cool brand or two you've worked on recently, and what did you enjoy about those processes?
I think one that stands out for me is EmpowerNext. So EmpowerNext is more or less a platform that creates education and leadership programs for Black young adults. So it's a project that I worked with the clients from the US, and I think this is one of the best projects I've worked with because from the very get-go, the communication I had with the clients was very, very efficient. They have a clear understanding of what their brand is, the history of where their brand comes from, laying that out perfectly for the designer to have a very clear understanding of the direction that he wants to go in developing the brand. And I think the communication with these clients were very almost perfect in my opinion. But what I loved about the design was like the symbolism behind it, even starting from the logo. The logo comprised of various elements that came together to give one particular symbolic meaning. It comprised of a pine tree that represented growth, a book that represented education, and a shield that represented empowerment and protection. But then all those components tied together in a very clean and meaningful way. It wasn't just about the aesthetics. So every design choice had a deep reason behind it. The same goes for the color palette, the typography. They were chosen to both feel trustworthy, to feel aspirational, and just reinforce the brand mission. So this project had a very strong balance of like strategy and creativity and a very deep meaning behind it, which made that particular design very rewarding for me as a designer.
So impact, strong meaning, client communication, and then the logo symbolism of trustworthy, aspirational, a nice balance of strategy and creativity. Meaning then is something that's important to you. Do you feel enough brands today care enough about the meaning behind their brands?
Say that's something that's dying out. I think most brands at the moment usually just, which is understandable, most brands just look towards the money making side. It's just we are entering the market to make money. Let's put something out that looks good, that feels good.
This idea of having a personal brand, having its meaning, how do you communicate that meaning to the world? And how should designers stay visible to potential clients, looking at things that you've tried yourself?
A lot of audience resonates with brands that have a deeper meaning to them. With regards to visibility to client, I've tried a couple of things myself, but it's more about how you want to showcase your work. Most clients just don't want to see pretty aesthetic visuals. They want to understand the process that went into creating those visuals. So being able to share insights, your design choices, your challenges that you faced, and how you solved the problems that came up, it's a very good approach. So using case studies and storytelling is one of these approaches. You can also use social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, getting in conversation in communities about design, branding, about industry trends, and posting consistently on these platforms where these decision makers hang out. You also have things like personal projects or experimentation. I think it's better to put it that way. So sometimes your work comes from passion projects that you worked on personally. So creating or showcasing these creative explorations can bring unexpected opportunities. It could be a redesign of something, a redesign of a particular brand that you felt very personal with, or even just a brand that you came up with yourself. Then I think finally networking is also a good approach. Being at conferences, being at events, whether virtual or in person, to just give yourself that lifeline when it comes to seeing new people. You never know where your next client can come from. I've tried most of these, but I think what works best for me is networking. I try as much as possible to attend conferences, attend events, and just mingle, interact with marketers, interact with developers. Yeah, that has worked for me so far.
I agree. Networking is definitely important. Which conferences, locally or internationally, have you attended so far that maybe other designers out there can keep an eye out for?
We have the Lagos Design Conference. We have a Web3 conference. Have Constant. It's a conference as well that happened last year. I think it might be happening this year as well. If more information is needed for these sorts of conferences, I can share them.
And beyond conferences, what are some tools that you're gatekeeping that we can hopefully extract from you now?
You have sites like pitch.com. So this site for me is a real game changer. It's used for creating sleek, interactive pitch. It's pretty much a tool for designing editorial style web experiences without having to code. It's drag and drop. You don't have to code using this particular website. So it's a powerful tool for spatial and architectural design because that's something I'm trying to dive into as well with regards to my brand identity design. For my organization of icons, I use Icon Jar. So Icon Jar is an application for macOS that helps organize and manage your icons for branding projects. Then lastly, there are a couple of mock-up sites that I use, which are free, and they make life very comfortable for me when it comes to designing mock-ups. You have the likes of hellomockup.com, you have createum.com, and is.graphics. So these are like the main ones.
Awesome. Anything else you'd love to add for designers out there, something they need to know?
I think designers should be very flexible with their design approach when it comes to creating brand identities. It's not just about the aesthetics of how it looks. Dive deeper into the meaning of the brand. Ask a lot of questions about the brand, the context behind the brand you're working on. Create a story about the brand that activates the audience. These are things that most designers do not take seriousness to. They tend to ignore that fact and just create visually appealing designs alone without deep meaning behind it. And audiences tend to gravitate towards brands that have a message that they're trying to pass across. So I think that's an advice I would give to my fellow designers.
I've been speaking to Stanley Jeza all the way in Lagos. He's been sharing his thoughts about brand identity. Stanley, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you very much.